Okay, now it's time to pay attention to the fabric, and I'm going to delete the fabric layer. Okay, and this is the base fabric, and I'm going to pick a color for that. For example, like this, maybe a little desaturated. So for the fabric part, I'm going to create at least 4 color variation layer because I need some rich color intensity and rich color variation in the material. So I create 4 layer. For each layer, I'm going to call color 1 var, copy it. In here, color 2 var, 3, and 4. Okay, that's it. So let's create a color variation at the first, and each layer just have color, roughness, or just color, for example. Okay, let's create a black mask for all of them. That's it. So for the first layer, I'm going to use a simple grayscale, which is called blue noise, as you can see. Okay, and the tiling, maybe 3 is good. I'm going to decrease the balance, increase the contrast, and that's it. I think it's okay. And for the layer parameters, maybe increase the roughness and choose a color like, yeah, this one. But the blending mode should be on soft light, and the opacity maybe 50 is good. So this is the first color variation. Now let's go to the second one. Okay, for the second one, I'm going to increase the roughness value to 0.8, and for the color, I'm going to change it to white and change blending mode for the color section to soft light. Okay, and for the base mask, I'm going to use pearly noise. Okay, and let's decrease the scale to something like 14, and let's increase the contrast and a little decreasing in balance. Okay, that's it. So let's add a filter, warp filter, yeah, and let's decrease the intensity to something like 0.70, yeah, and in the source parameter, maybe increasing source tiling a little bit, and yeah, everything is good. So I have the base mask over here, and now I'm going to add another filter. It's blur direction, and in here I'm going to increase the intensity to 4. Okay, that's it. As you can see, it creates a perfect mask for the color variation number 2. That's it. Okay, so let's decrease the amount of the opacity to 30, for example. As you can see, we are affecting on the color, not too strong, but yeah, the detail is over there, so you can see it. So let's change the base color to something like this one, a little yellowish green. Okay, that's it. And maybe increasing the roughness at the base fabric. It's a good idea. Okay, let's go to the color variation number 3. Okay, for the color variation number 3, I'm going to use fair grayscale. For number 3, it's good. And let's increase the tiling to something like 10. And in the noise parameters, no, nothing should be changed. Yeah, everything is okay. And maybe a little contrast and the balance. Yeah, it's good. So the second fill layer should be in a subtract mode because I'm going to create a unique mask for this. Okay, so think creased soft. It's good. Yeah. And let's go to the mask. Okay, I'm increasing the tiling. Maybe rotation is a good idea to follow the shape. And for the balance, I'm going to decrease the balance to 35. And in the noise parameter, you can change frequency like this, but I think the default is good. And the blending mode should be on subtract. So at the end, I'm going to add a blur. Okay. And increase the blur intensity to something like 1.5 to reduce the noise on the surface and create a soft mask. Okay, so this is the color variation. So I need to go to the layer parameters and change the value to the something like gray. And let's play with the blending mode. Okay, I think the color burn is good. Okay, let's decrease the value of the color. Okay, now we can see what is the result. And let's decrease the amount of the color variation to something like 60. Yeah. Okay, and in here we can increase the roughness or increase. Yeah, I think 0.3 is okay. The base fabric should have more roughness. For example, 6 is okay. That's it. Let's go to the color variation 4. Okay, in here, let's add a generator. I'm going to use curvature here. That's it. And let's change it to soft light. And for the color, I'm going to change it dark variation. So yeah, it's good. It's good. But I can use a fill layer here, something like noise. Okay, directional noise. This one. Yeah. And change the blending mode to multiply. So wherever I have the curvature, the directional noise should be appear. So in this way, I can control this one. So let's change the direction to 90 and increase the contrast to something like 75 and the balance decrease to something like 42, for example. Yeah. And with the random seed, we can get so many different variation. So I can use a filter between this curvature and directional noise to have a better mask. I'm going to add filter, and in here I'm going to use blur directional and change the angle to 90. And as you can see, if I increase the intensity, we have a better mask here. So let's decrease the balance, increase the contrast. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's better. So let's go back to the curvature. I'm going to decrease the global balance. And yeah, maybe in the directional, we can change the tiling to 3. Okay. And increase the balance. Decrease the soft light to something like 50. Okay. And increase the intensity here. That's it. So this is enough for color variation. And we need to add another layer. But for this layer, I'm going to use one of my resources. I create this pattern in Substance Designer, and you can have it in this project. But if you like to have enormous library related to the fabric pattern or clothes pattern or etc., you can check the website. So I'm going to import my resources. I'm going to use this pattern for the fabric. Okay, so let's import my resources here. It's related to volume number 1 of fabric pattern. So in the pattern section, I'm going to load AO to ambient occlusion, height or displacement to height, and the normal in here. And don't want need to have roughness, metallic, opacity, or color. So let's control the height amount. I'm going to change the channel to height and decrease the amount of the opacity. So that's it. I think 20 is good. Yeah. Now it's too much, maybe 15. Yeah, 15 is good. And now let's change the tiling to something like 30, or it's too much, maybe 10. Maybe we can use physical size. Yeah, and put the 30 over here. That's it. And play with the offset. Okay. Maybe 40 or 25. Rotation 90. And I need this detail here. So let's change the detail. Okay. We have it. As you can see, yeah, everything is okay. So let's decrease the ambient occlusion to something like 15. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Okay, maybe for the height, 15 is too much and 10 is better. Yeah, I'm happy with the 10. Okay, let's add an anchor point on this layer because we are going to use the height data from here in the next layer. So for the next layer, I'm going to call it highlight edges. And in here, I'm going to add a black mask. And I just need to have a simple white color. Okay. And let's add fill layer. I'm going to recall the pattern anchor point here, and reference channel should be set on high. And yeah, this one is okay. I just want to highlight this part of the fabric. So, okay, let's change the blending mode to soft light, and that's it. That's it. Okay, we're done. So, what about the other layers? Okay, let's add another color variation, color 5 var. Okay, let's add a black mask. Okay, now I can use a grayscale, which is called wave 2. Okay, now the tiling should be on, for example, 15. No, it's too big. Okay, 20 is good. Yeah, maybe. And for the pattern, I can increase the tiling to 3, for example. Okay, let's play with the histogram position. Yeah. Okay. So for this part, I just need color and in a small amount of the height. Okay, so something like 0.5. That's it. Okay, and for the blending mode, I can use overlay and increase the white value. That's it. Okay, let's go back to the mask, and I'm going to add an anisotropy grunge here. Okay, let's increase the tiling amount. Okay, and I'm going to change the blending mode to subtract. Yeah, this is the effect that I'm looking for. It's good, but I need this subtraction in 90-degree too. Okay, so let's duplicate that and change the rotation to 90. But I need to adjust the setting here in the noise parameter. Let's change the rotation to 90 for this layer and change the Y amount to 300. Yeah, it's good. 350. Yeah, it's better. That's good. Let's decrease the balance a little. For example, 0.4. And yeah, it's okay. So let's go to the second layer. Set the rotation to 0. And in noise parameter, I'm going to change it to, for example, 400. Okay, it's good. And let's go to decrease the balance to something like 15. Yeah, and it's okay. It's very good, actually. So let's add a filter. I'm going to use warp. Yes, but not with this intensity. Okay, maybe increase the intensity divider to 100 and increase the intensity to something like, for example, 5, and increase the blur to something like 2, for example. Yeah, it's good. It's good. That's it. So we just create the fabric pattern with the fabric wave. So it's so good. And let's go back to the material. Yeah, we have the effect on the base color. So it's okay. It's okay. This is what I want. Let's go back to the height. And for this layer, I'm going to use 5 because it's too much. And the noise on the surface, it's too much. Okay, so for the next layer, I'm going to use a fill layer, which is called edge folds. Okay, I just need height, and in the height, I'm going to use crease. And here, let's use creased. I'm going to increase the tiling. Okay, and decrease the balance to 0.4. And in the height channel, I'm going to decrease the amount of the opacity to something like 10 or maybe 50. Yeah, it's okay. So let's go back to the base color. I'm going to change the base color to pass, and let's add a filter like HSL. That's it. I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit and the lightness. Okay, let's add a black mask. And in the black mask, I'm going to add a generator like curvature. Okay, and now we have the curvature in the mask. I'm going to decrease the amount of the curvature in the global balance. And let's go back here. That's it. I'm going to add another filter before HSL, something like blur, to control the height. Okay, So let's increase the height to something like 30. And now you can see the effect over here, here, like this. It's very good. Okay, for here, I need to create another material. So let's reorder the layers. I'm going to put the pattern before color one variation. And after that, I'm going to create a fill layer. So let's call it second material. Okay, and let's go back to the base color. And I'm going to apply the normal blending mode for all channels. So I have this effect here. As you can see, there is no more pattern, fabric pattern. That's it. And I'm going to create a black mask. And let's create a sub layer paint and select these parts. Okay. And now I need to add the strip B layer here. Strip. Yes. That's it. Or let's use another resource like fibers 2. Yeah, I'm going to increase the tiling to something like 10. And in the pattern section, I'm going to increase the tiling to 10. Yeah. And add a level. Okay. And move this slider to achieve the look that I want. So for the fibers blending mode, I'm going to change it to multiply. Yeah. And change the rotation to 90. So everything is done. And I can change the value in the layer itself. So I need height, as you can see, something like 0.1. And the color, I need to have darker version of this color. Let's copy the color code. And in here, I'm going to paste it. And let's decrease the value. That's it. Okay. Let's change the layer order. Yeah, I think it's better to have the second material after color variation number 5. That's it. So let's add the roughness value and bring it up to something like 55. And yeah, it's okay. Now, if I turn on the normal, the AO, and the metallic, the second material is done. So let's decrease the value again to something like darker. So we are done. We are done for the fabric section. And let's add another layer, calling this dust, and add a black mask. Okay. And let's add generator like dirt and decrease the dirt level, decrease the grunge amount, or increase. Yeah, we can increase it. And let's play with the edge masking, for example, dirt contrast. Yeah, okay, this is the result. And let's have color, roughness, and select dark brown over here. Yeah, with the high amount of the roughness. So let's decrease the opacity of the dust. Yeah. And yeah, everything is good. Let's add layer control and change the blending mode of this layer to pass in all channel and add an anchor point. I'm going to add another layer, call it AO plus. Okay, and add a black mask. I just need to have AO in the black value and add generator, add ambient occlusion generator. That's it. And let's invert it. Use macro details. The macro details comes from height, layer control. I'm going to rename it to layer control fabric. Okay. And now we have all the data and the ambient occlusion on this layer. So let's control the ambient occlusion. For example, 50 or 60 is good. And now we have the fabric material. So let's create a paint layer. I'm going to call it same. And let's add the pass tool here. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. And this is so important to place the pass on your seam, because I'm going to create an effect related to seam and stitch which appear on the seam in the real world. Okay, so let's create it. Okay, now I'm going to change the properties of this path to seam, like this. Okay, let's turn off the guide and let's check what we have here. So I can turn on the AO or not. It's not necessary. Let's control the height amounts from here. Yeah, I think 20 is good. But we need some smoothness in the seam. Okay. And the size, I think 30 is good. Yes. And let's play with this slider. Yeah, stitch amount and stitch puckering. It's a good detail. That's it. Maybe increasing the amount of the height. It's a good option. Yeah. And let's create another paint layer and rename it to stitches. And copy this path. And in here, I'm going to paste. Okay. And now I'm going to change the properties of this path to top stitching. And now you can see I can control the amount of the height here. And let's come back to the pass stitch. Copy the style of this one and paste to this one. Yeah. But let's choose, for example, double stretch stitch and increase the tiling, increase the size to 4. The 4 is too big. Maybe 3. Yeah, 3 is good. Okay. I'm happy with the result. And that's it. So let's create another stitch layer here. Okay, now it's enough for the fabric part. Let's go to the next video, and we are adjusting the details and the layers and finalize our work in the process and export the textures to the marmoset and render it over there.